Megan. See, I'm already
Hey,
getting
Meg.
to know other people in the state. It's just
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, as Laura can attest, when she and I first talked about this, we it came up when we were in Excelsior Springs for the Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities Conference, CEC, and wouldn't it be fun to do some sort of neighboring conference or something in Missouri every year to connect people who work with neighbors and neighborhoods in whatever capacity? And so maybe as a first few steps to lead towards some sort of annual event, uh, and of course that might be something that works out, but something to build connections at least. We thought maybe some of these quarterly gatherings and just idea sharing and um, hear what you're doing in your community and building some relationships and see where we can build it from there. Just knowing that that is kind of one of the goals. We'd love to be able to connect maybe once a year at least face to face with people and think about what that might involve. Hopefully connections and ideas that would help all of us do our jobs or our volunteer work even better. So, did I capture that correctly, Laura? Anything
You
else you'd
did,
add?
absolutely. The quarterly meetings throughout the year is something that we do here in the Kansas City area. I happen to work with the aging community as well as part of my job, and all of the people in the different cities in the Kansas City area who are the senior center directors or the aging specialists for their city meet together quarterly, and we're sharing ideas and finding out who's doing what in different parts of the city. And I like to say every good idea that we've had in Excelsior Springs was somebody else's good idea first. And that's just really how good ideas, get shared is when those of us who have that shared interest are able to get together from time to time. We're hoping that quarterly meetings make it a little less burdensome on people, but we can also create an email group. And if you have something come up that you've got a question about, that's something I want to get to at some point is what question would you have for other people in the group? But what I'd love to do is just go around and have everybody introduce themselves and let us know, where you are and what you do in the place where you are. And I'll go ahead
Sure.
and start because I've seen some of you on other neighboring 101 sessions and some things like that. But I'm Laura Mize, and I'm in the city of Excelsior Springs, and I actually work for the city. I'm the neighborhood specialist, and they created this position to help get neighbors connected with each other and to get people connected with resources, like if they need help with home maintenance or something like that. Um, and something to add on to as you introduce yourself and tell us where you are, tell us what's something that you're doing that you're excited about. This year we did the Mayor's Block Party Challenge, that a good idea that we got from Springfield, and Springfield got it from Arvada or Colorado Springs, I forget what.
Colorado Springs, I think.
Colorado
Yeah.
Springs, yeah. So we did the Mayor's Block Party Challenge this year, and he challenged the residents of Excelsior Springs to have 50 block parties between Easter and Halloween. And we had 51. So we made it. But it was a great program. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you all are doing where you are. Lisa, you want to go next?
Sure. My name's Lisa Wigger. I too work for a city. I work for the city of Manchester, so on the other side of the state. And I have the role of community development. So similar to Laura, my role was created really to connect our neighbors with resources. But also, I kind of have a mixed role because the other part of my role deals with our businesses and retention and relationships. So I really use that to also connect it with our neighbors and try to find ways that I can involve them in the neighboring initiatives. This year we did a lot more than we normally did. We did a mock block party on the city hall lawn. And we are right on a very busy street. So a lot of people are like, what in the earth is going on? And myself and our board of aldermen, one of them, we created a game similar to Clue. for the participants to play, to create their own party. And so they had different elements, instead of having, what is it, Mr. Mustard with the sword, they kind of had, you're doing a common area and you are catering to those dog lovers that are in your neighborhood, but you only have a $50 budget. And so we gave, there was like 5 different things and they drew those. So there was no pre-plan in this. And the groups had to come up and present what their party would look like based on that. It just allowed them to think out of the box and that. And then this coming year is something I'm excited about doing, and I stole this idea. Like Laura, I think some of the best ideas we can borrow from other states, cities, towns, whatever. From Eureka Springs, I am doing love letters to Manchester in February, and I'm pretty excited to do that for the first time.
Love letters to Manchester. I got to know more about this. I'm not familiar with what they do in Eureka Springs.
So
How?
Eureka Springs has a big civic season thing, and they do a lot of like civic stars and all. So love letters is where residents, students can write a letter about what they love about their city. So they write it in February, and I will have a red mailbox in City Hall, kind of where you can deliver, you can email me your letters. And then we will actually put some of these letters on display in our Justice Center in the boardroom during the months of March and April. So, and we'll probably highlight some of them on social media and all. So this is the first time we're trying it. I don't know if people will love this or hate it. But I just felt like for February, it's kind of something different to do. It doesn't require a lot of, you know, upfront work for it. So, just something new to try.
Well, it fits with the theme for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
I love it.
Great idea. Megan is on here smiling and nodding. She's in the midst of the neighboring Advent calendar for one. I know. I've
Ooh,
seen that.
And I will say,
neighboring advent calendar.
yes,
Ooh.
I will add, I'm the imposter in the group because I'm in Florida. But big fan, right? David Burton fan, love
Oh,
that. And just really interested in how Missouri's really leading the country in this work. And so just wanted to stay in touch and hear what y'all are doing. But yeah, like David mentioned, I work with a lot of local governments across the country. And so part of what we're hearing from folks and why I'm interested in being a part of this call is like neighborhood specialists, community development teams don't feel like there's a conference for them outside of like maybe NUSA. And so that's something that we're looking at is like, what could that be at a local level? Just, yeah, what are the ideas? So yeah, really excited to be a part of this call. But yes, and I will, like David mentioned, the thing I'm most excited about is we are doing 31 days of neighboring. So it's an advent calendar. And the idea is that we're getting 31 different organizations to submit one simple, doable idea for neighbors to get to know one another. So honestly, Lisa, if you want to submit the idea of like write a love letter, or even like just if your neighborhood could write a holiday card, what would it include? But like I love just the ideas y'all were sharing. I also agree the best ideas are stolen. Uh, but yeah, I can share a link if you guys want to share a tip. And then
yeah,
also,
sure.
Yeah.
yes, it'd be
Yeah.
awesome. And then
Okay.
if we end up getting more than 31, we're gonna do neighboring New Year's resolutions. But
Ah.
you
Hmm.
guys are up to some really cool stuff. I would love to say, okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna
No, 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 no.
you guys are really awesome though.
Don't stop talking. We've blocked an hour and a half for this. So just I'm typing all of these ideas
I
here.
I know I'm writing them. This is kind of like what I geek out on. So love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Megan is always full of ideas. She does some work for the Hopeful Neighborhood Project, and she does some work with Community Works as well. And she's knee deep in this type of work herself in her own community. So, you mentioned NUSA, and I'll just say, I got elected to the NUSA board, and I went to my first board meeting. It's a 2-day meeting, and I unfortunately resigned at the end of the first day.
Oh.
Um, it, um, I probably don't know how much more involvement I would have in it. But I'm also not sure what the future holds for the organization. They are going to do they say they're going to do an online conference this year, uh, and then try and come back in person the following year, which I'm not very confident that either one of those will happen. But I didn't need the drama, or I'll just leave it at that. It was not where I need to be. So, part of that when that was uh, kicked to the curb, that was part of the thinking here too. And even when Laura and I had talked, I'm like, look, we don't even have this Noosa thing to go to. We should do something in Missouri. And do we do an awards program of some sort? Do we do a little 1 day gathering, even something like that? So, yeah, Noosa, that'd be a Moosa, Missouri, Missouri, USA.
Yeah. Well, I really like the state of Missouri has, if you're watching TV here, they have a, Visit Missouri campaign, and it says, what's your MO? MO is our state abbreviation. And so, there's also Mo Humanities and Mo this and Mo that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I thought Mo Neighboring was quite appropriate, because that's what all of us are hoping to see is more neighboring between neighbors. I think we need to find a way to make Megan an honorary Missourian somehow. To figure out
Yeah.
if like the governor can maybe issue a proclamation that she's an honorary Missourian.
I would love it. Let's go.
Well, and you mentioned that it's interesting to hear from your perspective as kind of an outsider that you see Missouri is leading the way in this work. I love that Missouri has a whole week around National Good Neighbor Day, that we have National Good Neighbor Week, which gives people the opportunity to think more than just the 1 day, because that's over really quickly. You've got a whole week that we're pushing out reminders. Hey, it's Missouri Good Neighbor Week. What are you doing? We'd love to hear what you're doing. So anyway, well, Nancy, let's hear from you. What is it that you do where you are?
So, as David mentioned, I'm currently the president of our neighborhood association, the Delaware Neighborhood Association. I don't actually live there anymore. We moved across National Avenue in Springfield, about a mile away, to University Heights Neighborhood Association. So we kind of split the duties. My husband's involved with that one. I'm involved with our old neighborhood association. But he started the Delaware Association going on 9 years ago now, or 10 years.
Mm.
So we're just trying to make sure it continues and gets stronger and stronger. It's one of the smaller, geographically smaller neighborhoods. But I've also been at Habitat for Humanity for 20 years. So I see all of Springfield. I spend a lot of time in the lower income areas of Springfield. We have a owner-occupied home repair program that's very active and involves a lot of, just seeing all the neighborhoods. Springfield's pretty unique, I think. Having moved here from Boulder, Colorado 25 years ago, I've never seen this sense of community like Springfield has before. We've got 24 registered neighborhoods with the city. It's an annual registration that you do have to meet some guidelines to keep your registration. But that makes you eligible for grants and things like that. I believe David might be, are you emceeing the Nova Awards this year?
I'm doing the keynote speech.
Okay,
I don't think I'm emceeing. I hope not. I'm not
Okay,
prepared for
okay.
that.
I knew you were doing something.
I'm speaking. Yeah.
But the Nova Neighborhood Organization Volunteer Awards banquet is coming up here in early December. And one of the things that we hear about at that banquet, and all of the neighborhoods can send 8 people to that, we hear about the money that we have been granted or earned in the last month or so. And some of the opportunities for that are Neat Neighborhoods, this is the second year for that program, done through the Hatch Foundation. They decided to help neighborhoods kind of get money through different things, activities that they do. So we actually sat down yesterday, some of us, and went through all the applications for that and kind of tallied the scores for that. And that's probably going to be around 2,000 is the maximum you can get there, maybe more. There's the Great Neighborhoods grant from the city, and that involves doing certain things. You can say what you're going to do. It's an upfront money that you can spend on things that next year. There's also the Bass Pro Marathon is a place that we can earn money. There's a cheering challenge. Obviously, not everybody has a Bass Pro Marathon going through their neighborhoods, but that is set up, and Bass Pro will pay neighborhoods that come out in force and support that race. So all of that is stuff that we're going to learn more about at the Nova banquet. Another program, and I'm going to brag specifically on the city and community partnership of the Ozarks here, but the city also has the Neighborhood Works program. It's expanded this year. We're just kind of figuring out how that's going to be handled in terms of how people or how neighborhoods apply for projects. In the past, it's been, you can say you need additional or better sidewalks, and they'll help you figure out the linear cost of that and grant you the money to improve those. If you have parks areas or other public areas, it's for that kind of space. It's not for private use. But this year it's going to be different. We're going to kind of pool our ideas and go cross boundaries in neighborhoods and try and get a lot more done with more money. So all that's coming out of a extended tax program this year. So the city has a great neighborhood team in the planning department. And then we also have community partnership of the Ozarks, or CPO, which has a neighborhood staff. Actually, it's one person right now, but between those two entities, they really support the neighborhoods, provide that funding in different ways to help neighborhoods commit to activities and things like that. There's also the Neighborhood Advisory Council, which started, oh gosh, I should know this, but I don't, maybe 12, 15 years ago. I'm vice chair of that right now, and it's a direct conduit to the city. City staff and we sit down every 2 months, all the neighborhoods, and it's actually a requirement for your neighborhood registration that you come to those a certain number of times a year. But we have presentations from the city, from other organizations. We discuss common issues, just all that kind of stuff that happens at that meeting. So I feel like there's an extremely strong network and support for activities within the neighborhoods and across neighborhood boundaries as well in Springfield.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot going on. And some of that has a long history now to it too.
Yeah.
And a great publication that the city puts out too for all the neighborhoods, that the neighborhoods are able to print their information in, their upcoming events. And
deadline for that's today. I better get on it after.
You better get on it.
And how often does that come out?
It's quarterly.
It's quarterly. Okay.
Yeah. And you can just search on SGF neighborhood news and it pops up. There's a digital version as well as the version that's mailed out and available at City Hall.
And parks, a lot of parks buildings have that publication set out too. Well, Crystal at Lee's Summit just messaged me, said she's running late, that she's planning to join us too. So Laura, we're way over our minimum threshold.
Well, that's fantastic. Crystal, you said Crystal from Lee's Summit?
Yes. One thing I'm excited about, and Lisa mentioned Missouri Good Neighbor Week, so I'll just tag on to that. The last week or so has been some of my time to kind of do a little vision setting for that and goals, and thinking about how I make it a little more self-sustaining. Someday I'm going to retire in maybe 6 or 7 years, if I can get there. And I really love the work to continue on. And so it's causing me to think about what would that need to be. Maybe having that program strong enough that we can start a 501c3 called Missouri Good Neighbor Week with its own board, maybe that would guide that effort going forward, continuing, something like that. But in the interim, thinking too about, what are some annual goals I can have to grow that program. And I need to pick up a few more sponsors, for example. I think there's some things we could do online that would improve the interaction and the reporting and so forth. Because right now we're a little bit limited by my technology skills. And then not so kind of casting that vision down the line 2 or 3 years, but then maybe adding a couple more categories next year. And part of this would be an effort to really make Missouri Good Neighbor Week a conversation starter all year long. That's the thing. Every year, you have a week. We use what monies we can to promote it, and inevitably, a week after or 2 weeks after, I'll get some emails and phone calls. Oh, I just now heard about Missouri Good Neighbor Week. Can I still nominate somebody? Can I still do something? So, really, open up those nominations at the first of the year. Let people nominate someone all year long, and then recognize the winners during that week. I think is an approach we could take. We did a few most neighborly businesses this year. I think I'd like to kind of try and expand those business nominations and some recognition. Again, letting people nominate all year, but then recognize the winners during Missouri Good Neighbor Week. And then since we're at it and we're going full throttle, maybe adding an awards program to help us be able to recognize the most neighborly neighborhoods across the city, across the state. So, but again, when I'm thinking about sustainability and I'm thinking about time, that means there's going to need to be, some other volunteers or players involved in that. There may need to be some money to help. Maybe there needs to be a small application fee or something to help underwrite some of the postage, something like that. But giving people 9 months to fill out a form and a checklist on some things to give us some neighborhoods to really recognize during Missouri Good Neighbor Week, I think would also help with marketing, would help spread during the week what you can do as an individual to participate too. So that's kind of what I've been trying to wrap my mind around and think about. And I know cities and individuals in this group are already involved in that. And maybe we can find new ways to pull together. I think it is to all of our benefit, to the state and to our individual communities, if we work together on it.
I think you'd have great support, David, from all of us in the state who are working in this space. I'm wondering if some of the businesses who have won this year would be willing to sponsor next year's winner.
Oh, like cover the
cost of the plaque or the whatever.
Yeah.
Just if you reach out to them when after the new year, letting them know, hey, we want to expand this. Would you be willing to contribute to recognizing other businesses?
Yeah, to pay it forward.
Sponsorship is something to definitely think about.
And if we get a lot of nominations for that and maybe some neighborhood applications, that might be a reason to get together in person in August or early September or something to spend a day going over nominations and doing some other things.
Yeah, the CEC conference this year just landed.
That's right.
Remember, it landed during Good Neighbor Week.
Yes, the one next year is an earlier September.
Is it already scheduled for?
Earlier? It's like September 13th, I think. I can look it up.
Yeah.
We lead such busy lives, isn't it? It's just hard to work things in around our busy schedules. September 15th to 17th.
15th to 17th, and it's in Maryville.
Yep.
I do like the idea of being able to do nominations all year long. Something I brought up to you, Dave, was, that I said, okay, we don't have a whole lot going on the actual week because we have so much that goes on all year long. And it just happened to be that week hit when, a lot of people were out of town or there was other things going on. So it was really hard to, plan things for that week, but we do things all year long. And I think having just one week opposed to having it all year round really does remind people all the time, hey, This isn't just one week. It's something that we should be, trying to do all the time. So I do like that idea. I like the idea of sponsorships. I think it's always great to ask, past winners for sponsorships. I kind of, when you mentioned that, thought about more, what are some organizations that are state or nationwide that really encourage good neighboring? And would any of them be, willing to be, they're bigger ones. It's harder sometimes to ask them for sponsors, and sometimes you have to write something, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I thought of initially.
Well, I like to think big, and our Surgeon General is very much a proponent of neighboring and connection, since he, stated that isolation and loneliness are
Yeah.
one of the greatest epidemics. And I've often wondered if it wouldn't be worth reaching out to that office and saying, this is what Missouri's doing in the space of trying to address neighborhood or loneliness and isolation, but doing it through neighboring.
Yeah. Murphy is no longer Surgeon General, though, right?
Oh, well, really? Okay.
VTech.
I want to say he isn't anymore. Yes.
Okay.
But still, yeah, you're right, former Surgeon General. And I have been told that there's a connection with him in Springfield, that his daughter came to Missouri State. Have you ever been told
Oh,
that, Nancy?
Hmm.
Because he still is I think they're doing a tour or something with him right now. So he's still very active in social connection and in
mm-hmm.
encouraging folks to do it. Yeah.
I'm going to see if I
Hmm.
can find a way to reach out to him.
Nice. Yeah. And I'll add, I was just at a meeting last night for one of our county commissioners. And they had like a neighborhood of the year award. They actually had a point system, which I think hers was more focused around beautification. Uh, but you got X amount of points for like crime decreasing or for doing like the cup art on a fence of We Heart Our Community. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that probably just added some um, standardization to the scoring that
Mm-hmm.
made it seem fair and it wasn't just based off of the judges. So I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our most neighborly city award in
Mhm.
Missouri does have a point system behind it. And I think I mentioned that you earn points, but I've never made uh, that point system real public. It is weighted, because some of the things, a service project is not the same as neighborhood connections. So neighborhood things that do neighborhood connections are weighted heavier and get you more points. But one of the reasons I haven't made it public is, well, one, I probably don't want the criticism of it, so I haven't made it public for that reason. uh, Two, but if people see it, then they might just flood the zone with where they thought they could earn some points at, and that's not really the purpose of it all.
Right. I ran
But
into some things with the mayor's block party challenge this year. We had people reaching out saying, "Hey, we're going to do a trunk or treat at our business. Can that be a neighborhood block party?"
Mhm.
No, I had to create a definition that a neighborhood block party was a gathering of neighbors within their neighborhood, and it wasn't open to the whole community. This is specific to neighbors in this neighborhood. Community projects are great. Keep doing community-wide projects, but unfortunately, it couldn't be counted as a neighbor gathering.
yeah, and of course, and there's flexibility. Lisa mentioned that she shared with me the things they had done all the previous year, and at least a little background story. A similar thing happened the previous year with Sykeston, in that they actually had a committee put together. They planned activities, some big activities for Good Neighbor Week, but they did all their stuff the week before Missouri Good Neighbor Week, because Missouri Good Neighbor Week is homecoming in
Mhm.
Sykeston with their university. And we couldn't overlap them. And we would never be able to do it on that week. But it was Missouri Good Neighbor Week because the reason they did it, and they were very organized, had a lot going on. I thought, well, I understand that argument. I understand why. And so I waited to include it the same. And then when you shared about all the stuff you were doing, I thought, well, that she makes a really strong case for that. So you're right. I think I need to make room for that in the reporting in some way. Open to suggestions and ideas.
Well, I love the fact that they have a committee just
Mhm.
for that.
Yeah, the chain it grew out of their leadership Sykeston program. I don't know if there's a leadership Springfield here, um, but they're the ones that formed the committee, and there's somebody from the chamber and the city on there, and seems like another official entity is on there as well.
Well, we'll have to get a hold of Sykeston.
Well, they were less involved this year. I think they had some people that had left positions and stuff, but
Mm,
um, Barry, I can't think of Barry's last name, but Barry was at the CEC conference,
yeah, I remember
and
meeting Barry.
I think I'm supposed to go. We're trying to work on dates. I think I'm going to Sykeston this spring at some point.
Were they working on their comprehensive plan last year while they had many things, extra things
Oh,
going on?
well,
Because, I
maybe
feel like
so.
sometimes when you're working on some of that, you tend to have a little bit more going on too. And I think that I read something that they were doing a comprehensive or working on part of it.
Okay, that may be. It could be.
Well, I love the model that Springfield has for their neighborhood associations. I know it's a much bigger city than Excelsior Springs. We only have 11,000, but we don't have any neighborhood associations. There are two homeowners associations, which is not the same thing, and they're, very um, controversial. But what I'm hoping to create in Excelsior Springs is more informal neighborhood associations where they're just looking to, okay, who's going to plan the block parties and who's going to plan the
Hmm.
neighbor gatherings. And when I've mentioned it that way, I've gotten a lot more, feedback that, okay, yeah, I'd be interested in doing that. I just don't want to be the person driving around the neighborhood looking for violations of the homeowners covenants. I said, nope, not that at all. Um, but
I
we're
still
in a
think a lot of
place.
people in Springfield don't know the difference,
No,
Mm.
you're
don't you,
right. They
Nancy?
don't. They don't.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Hmm.
So we
But a
don't have
lot.
any, go
Sorry,
ahead,
go ahead.
Nancy.
So I was going
We
to
don't,
say that I think there are so many people involved with neighborhood associations in Springfield that a lot of people do. But there was just an exchange on Facebook recently where it was clear that some people just wanted to stir the pot, and there was a next
Yeah.
door generated question about whether people should basically be forced into a neighborhood association, and it was automatically generated, so it wasn't even anything that was put out by the city. And oh my
Oh,
gosh, the responses were just crazy. But another thing that we do have besides the neighborhood advisory council is another thing that my husband put together, which is called the snug for the urban neighborhoods. It kind of started out as centrally located neighborhoods, and it's a very loose group, but it came together kind of to talk about issues that weren't being talked at NAC, because it's trying to kind of keep the city out of it and just talk within the neighborhoods.
Hmm.
And that might be something that kind of facilitates, more activity generally within the loose neighborhoods, that kind of thing, that kind of organization.
It's a good thought.
so I was going to say, we don't really have neighborhood associations. I do have a lot of HOAs. And so I do keep like a trustee kind of contact list. I email things out. When we did our mock block party over the summer, we invited trustees, we invited just those regular residents because
hmm.
I do have some really big areas. One area where there's about 500 homes and there's no HOAs. So how do you connect those people?
Hmm.
Who's gonna be in charge of that? And so what was interesting was, so I made a guide on how to do a block party, but also a guide on just simple neighboring, and really told them that, it doesn't have to be big, it can be small, but I gave them simple and inexpensive ideas at that. But we had a lot of just regular neighbors that came that weren't trustees. And so I kind of kept track of those individuals that came and who ended up planning, because we left them with a, an action item, go back and plan a party and that. And so I've had several that have done. I think we ended up having 3 of the 40 that were in attendance that planned parties, block parties for their area. I went out and helped some of them, because they're just regular residents. They're like, what do I do? We tried to make it as easy as possible. We made sure we visited. I, helped to coordinate the police and the fire department going out for fun things for the kids. But we want to repeat this. This was something that we heard that people really loved, but we did it in July when a lot of individuals were on vacation. And so we want to do it in the spring and before. And I like the thing of the mayor's challenge with the block parties to do that kind of almost in, the thing is, we may even have a changeover of mayor in our city by springtime. So I do love that and having it at the start of the season.
Yeah, that was tricky. Yeah, our election was going to be the 1st of April, and we wanted it to go Easter to Halloween. So our mayor is selected from among the council members. They choose which one of them is going to serve as mayor. And so I went in and did my pitch on the Mayor's Block Party Challenge and said, can I get a commitment from whoever of you ends up being chosen as mayor? Would you agree to be the face of this initiative? And they all did. So, and I will really brag on our city council. We only have 5 city council members, but all of them attended neighbor gatherings. They helped with our night out against, we have like a national night out that is just Excelsior Springs night out. They helped with that. All 5 of our council members were engaged in neighboring in one way or another. They hosted block parties so I'm bragging on my council. We're blessed to have support for neighboring initiatives from our council for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, in Springfield, the HOAs tend to be uh, more in the southern portion of the city limits, which would be, kind of the newer growth area of the city, and they're not included in the official neighborhood association efforts with the city, although there are HOAs that are in the city limits. And I've always kind of wondered how that could be addressed, so those so the city can work with those areas, so they have, because you're right, Nancy, so much of the effort in Springfield, the grants and things kind of come from the neighborhood funnel
Right.
upward. But I think it's kind of a tricky marriage.
Yeah, because some of those HOAs are in neighborhood association areas too. So
Okay.
I don't know how they split them out in terms of that.
Yeah, well, that would make it more complicated. Well, then I guess the best option is that they could also become a official neighborhood association then.
Right.
So how does that process work? I guess everything's already established. Now all those neighborhood associations are established. Do you kind of have the same people that are, and do you have in the neighborhood associations president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and is it kind of the same people all the time?
So we do, get nonprofit. Well, a lot of us will get nonprofit status through the state and federal government and do all the stuff to, do that. So for that, you have to have bylaws, and the city requires bylaws as well to be a registered neighborhood. So it should spell out in there the breakdown of the officers and members at large and all that kind of stuff and their terms and when elections are. So it should be pretty well spelled out. We have had a couple fail recently and be rebuilt, which was interesting because during that time that they had lapsed, other, their registrations with the state and the IRS had also lapsed. So that was a little tricky, but so it feels like it's pretty well controlled, and it's not like somebody's going to be a president for 20 years and
Gotcha. Okay.
shove everybody else out the door. But
Gotcha.
There is a
You saw where I
pub,
was going there.
Yeah, yeah.
there is a publication, a booklet that was done at the last for the last neighborhood summit, which happens in March. We do a little leadership summit about how to form a neighborhood association, and it kind of has all the rules and the steps. Laura, I thought I might have shared that with you,
Yeah,
but
I think I do have that.
I can look for it again if I find it. I'm happy to share it with the group
Yeah, that's a good resource
because
for
they
sure.
update it, and it was very, easy to read, and here are the expectations and the rules and stuff.
We have a lot of support from our city leadership, but not necessarily financial support other than my position. So there aren't grants really to incentivize people to get together. Our incentive is just, hey, it makes a safer, cleaner, more pleasant neighborhood when
Mhm.
you're connected. That's our pitch.
It's a good pitch. It's all
Yep.
I'm kind of with
all
Laura
true.
too. We don't have any grants and that now. I have talked with my director about us doing a couple small something for, where neighborhoods can apply to have some type of beautification, to have that in our budget and all. We haven't done it yet, but we would be, not really having anything. We'd be trying to do the same thing. Hey, it makes for safety. It's just, good for the area.
Yeah.
There are some communities. I know Columbia still does grants, and they will do them to HOAs or neighborhood associations, either one. Um, uh, Chris and Elizabeth McKinney, Laura, you may remember them from Neighboring 101
Hmm.
several years ago. But I don't remember if it was 250 or $500 max, but um, neighborhoods were able to apply and get, I think they got a popcorn machine for their neighborhood or something like that to use at all their block parties. And, it's used in different ways. And there
That's a
are,
good gift.
yeah, and there are other cities that do sort of a small grant program. I think our Vada, Colorado did for a while. And you've talked to Brady before
Hmm.
out there. But it takes time to administer that, right? And within the city, there's certain hoops to jump through to process that check or pay a bill, and those are things that need to be thought through.
So we kind of covered it. What's coming up for you in the coming year that you're excited about? I can tell you that we are going to implement the Out and About program that was from Draper, Utah. Matt Evans, I think that's his name.
Yep,
Is that
it
right?
is.
Yep. I don't know if he actually I think he created it, but
It did.
it's just a super simple program in that on the first Sunday of the month at 5 o'clock, everybody's encouraged to go for a walk in their neighborhood. Doesn't cost a dime. Although I'm going to buy signs and door hangers from him, but you
Mhm.
don't necessarily have to have those things for it in our small community, we're able to get the word out fairly easily about things. But what I'm going to do is try and find a neighbor from all of the major subdivisions who will uh, put the sign out the week before that first Sunday, and who will maybe recruit some kids to put door hangers on everybody's doors in their subdivision. But he also said that he can just send me the template, and Amazon sells cardstock door hangers pretty reasonably. I think you can get 400 door hangers, so it's like 200 sheets for less than $50. And if you have a template, you can print on both sides of them, and it's pretty simple. So I'm
Mm.
super excited, and everybody that I've, talked to get on board with it here in Excelsior, we're excited about the Out and About program coming up. So do you guys have specific initiatives that are new or something that's coming up for you in 2026?
Laura,
I,
question on that. Do you have a certain month that you're going to start that and end that? Or are you going to do it all year long?
I'm going to start it in March,
Okay.
um, and I haven't figured out what to do about winter yet.
Okay. because I saw that initiative too, and I really do like that. And I was just thinking about the winter months and how do you,
Yeah.
go around that.
So weather permitting is always the kind of the tagline or on there. In December, the weather would the first week of the year or the first week of the month, the weather's probably pretty good. January and February, not so much. But in February, I can always say, okay, out and about is hibernating for January and February. We'll pick it up again in March. So February, I think I'm going to implement the love letters about your city. Gosh, I love that. So
I
that gives us
know, I
something to
do
do.
too. I'm super excited. I hope it's successful just because it kind of warms my heart, and I want to try and involve some of our schools with it to have some of the students write about it. Even our high school leadership class and that. But I also thought about sending it out to our businesses because, I always am thinking, because of my role having the businesses under it, how do we make our business owners, they're in Manchester, but they're not always residents of Manchester, but they
Mm.
are our neighbors essentially. And so I want to include them. But yeah, when I saw that last year, and then when I proposed it to be part of our season for next year, I was super excited that was everyone was on board with it.
Yeah, I love
Matt's going
that.
to be our guest in January on Neighboring 101, and he'll probably give his same pitch presentation workshop that he did at NUSA. And I think part of, I don't know, man, I started talking 2 or 3 years ago, and Jennifer and I had this conversation too. One of the things we were brainstorming ideas. One of the challenges to break through was to get something on the calendar with regularity that people could rally around or rely upon. Because like you talk to a neighborhood group about doing something, everybody nods their head and says, "Yeah, we're going to do something," and then they keep kicking it down the road, so to speak. They don't get it on the calendar because there's no perfect date on the calendar, and
Yeah.
oh, we can't do Mondays, and nobody likes Tuesdays, and just kept kicking and kept kicking, and how do we deal with that? And then Matt, I guess, experimented on his own, and then came back around and had just decided to try, Sunday evenings. And um, my wife isn't a big fan of that date, especially when there's Chiefs game on for the Sunday night game. Um, but other things have conflicts too. So we've tried in our own neighborhood and just having something that's regular and consistent and kind of on the calendar. We're going to meet on this date. Bring your lawn chair. Uh, you know, I'll have soda or BOB and come to our driveway. And you go on that website, you can enter your
Mhm.
address and you kind of show up as a beacon. So if there's other people around in the area, they know that you're going to be out. Um, and so we've probably averaged 15 people or so on the driveway just visiting. And so I just love the regularity of it.
Yeah.
Consistently,
Mhm.
don't have to come up with another date. I just already know when it is.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you if there is a Chiefs game or a Royals game, we have a TV on a cart, TV on wheels that we roll out. So because that was kind of what we did when we first did Flamingo Fridays a couple of years ago, which is the same thing. It's every Friday night, 7 o'clock. You go to the driveway that has flamingos in the driveway, just the little plastic things. We have a neighborhood that's been doing that for 5 years, and they average like 30 people. But we thought, well, that gives us something to talk about. If the Royals are on, we would have that, kind of going, and it helps spur conversation. You can always complain about how bad they're doing or whatever.
Well, that's a common theme for this year.
Yes.
And some people seem surprised. And I'm like, the Chiefs have been breaking my heart most seasons since 1969, when I
Yeah,
first started cheering for them, back when Lynn Dawson was quarterback. So, um,
exactly. My husband said a few years ago, it's just after all those years of disappointment, it's just hard to grasp that we have that guy and we have that team. Now, that was a few years ago, but yeah. See, it spurs sports are just such a great icebreaker, even for people who aren't into sports. It's still just a fun thing to talk about. Well, so if you have is there a question or something that you would like to get from this group that we can kind of be working on for the next time we meet?
I think for me, it's the ideas. Like I've written 2 pages of notes here. And I love Flamingo Fridays. Like, I'm always looking for, and I know David knows, myself and the Alderwoman, we work a lot together. Her thing is, what is the what action are we going to give them? My thing is, what's the fun factor? So I'm always coming from more of a corporate environment before working for a city. When I planned events, I was always pulling in the fun part of it. And so, I always like to say, this isn't your typical city, thing. And that because I'm trying to pull in some fun and for people to kind of see the other side of what city can provide.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to just hear about, I've written several ideas during our discussion. So I think it's just bouncing ideas and learning from everyone else is what I want to get out of it. And maybe eventually having a time when we can all, come together and have a conference or something like that definitely excites me.
Me too. All of the above. The Flamingo Fridays, just a little bit more about that. What the neighbors did was they put flyers out on everybody's doors that they start in May, and they run through October. And it's every Friday night, and that always starts at the same house, Mr. and Mrs. Walters. They keep the flamingos. They put the flamingos by the driveway, and the flyer says, "Bring your own drink and some lawn chairs, and we'll just sit and talk from 7 to 8." They put there's closure there so that you're not going to have people hanging out in your driveway. And so at the end of the night, they say, "Okay, so who's going to take the flamingos with them and put them in their house?" And then at some point that week, you have to drive around the neighborhood and figure out where the flamingos are so you know where you're going next Friday. So that's how that works, and they've had great success with that for 5 years.
I love that idea.
Now they average 30, but usually like the first time they get together in May, they'll have 50 people. Easy. And it's a lot of times it's a different 30 people every week, depending on who's going on vacation or whatnot. And it gets those connections. People know who lives where and which houses need to be watched on vacation weeks. And, just it's a good thing. They've had great success with that. And all it costs is 2 plastic flamingos from Amazon. Nancy, is there something from this group that you're looking to answer questions? Or it sounds like you are kind of a veteran in this space, and we'll probably be drawing a lot from you.
Well, like everybody else, I've been writing down the ideas too. It is a little bit difficult being split between 2 neighborhoods. So I need more ideas for the old neighborhood because I don't physically live there, even though I drive through once or twice a day. But so all these little things are great ideas. One thing we haven't talked about too is developer pressure. And that's a reason that a lot of Springfield neighborhoods have come together in the past. The Roundtree neighborhood came together because they were going to lose their elementary school, that kind of thing, and they fought that successfully. The neighborhood I live in now, University Heights, is fighting developer encroachment on the one uncommercial corner, which is the corner of our neighborhood at Sunshine and National, and we had planning and zoning hearing last night on that. So it's secondary in the sense that it's extremely important, but I think that's why a strong neighborhood is so important and making all these activities happen and getting to know your neighbors so that then at planning and zoning and city council, you can be there en masse and expressing our concerns for our neighborhood, our geographic neighborhood. So I'm always listening for ideas with an eye and ear toward making a neighborhood stronger to combat those unnecessary and unwanted developments, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I also think it's nice that doing this, we're all kind of in a little bit different regions. And so, Laura, like if you have something you're using in your region, well, no one in over here is, you know what I mean? It's not like you're right next door to me, you're in Baldwin. And so, it's kind of easy to, not that I wouldn't want Baldwin to be part of this, and that it's easier to steal ideas when we're all over the place too, because people don't necessarily know, oh, that was used on the other side of the state.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned you took a lot of notes. I've taken a lot of notes. I think maybe what will be a good thing is to compile some kind of a guide of here are things that cities in Missouri have implemented and how they did it that
Mhm.
people can get a hold of, and when they're looking for ideas, we can have it in written
Yeah.
form. I'll start working on that.
Well, I put one of the items, I think the booklet item, the most up-to-date version in the chat. Hopefully
Okay.
that's of help. And I've been milling around trying to find what I can find about uh, Dr. Murphy. You said you thought he was doing a tour or some events. Probably, he, surprisingly, he has not accepted my friend request on LinkedIn in the last 5 minutes, but I would expect it at any moment.
Okay.
But that might be a way to communicate and see. It'd be fun to, see if there was a way to interface with that if he comes through Missouri
Mhm.
Yeah.
or get him online or something.
Well, that's Robert Putnam was able to get in with different administrations at the federal level to push social capital. And I really see neighboring as kind of the next deeper level of social capital. It's
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
so we can try to do the same thing. We don't have the same weight gravitas that Robert Putnam has, but
Well, not yet.
not yet. We're getting there. Someday David may be the next.
He's officially he's officially retired. He's not taking any speaking engagements or invites even online anymore.
Uh, well earned. Well earned. He's got
Yeah.
enough out there that we can get what we need.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Well, thank you everybody for making time for us this morning. We look forward to doing this again next quarter. Did
Mhm.
you already have a date picked out, David?
So we're always doing Fridays, right? Let me pull
Is
my
this a
calendar
good
up.
time for you all? Okay.
Mhm.
Was it
Laura,
third?
did you take NLA last year?
I did. I attended
Okay.
NLA last
In
fall.
September? Okay. I was in the class with you.
Okay,
I
yeah.
yesterday on the Good Neighbor, and I told our board of alderwoman, I said, "Ah, she looks so familiar. I think she was in my NLA class."
Yes, yes, yeah. And that grant, I used that grant for the mayor's block party challenge, and we
Oh,
had a
that's
little bit left
awesome.
over. So that money I'm going to use to buy the signs and door hangers for our out and about that's coming up. So,
That's great.
but yeah, and LA was great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see, ladies. I don't we said quarterly, right? And
Hmm.
it's not on my calendar, but I would prefer to probably just use the same Zoom link. Let's see if Zoom set me up quarterly. Um, yeah, Zoom is telling me the next one is on February 13th.
Friday the 13th. Oh, fun.
Mm.
You think we can do that and live to tell about it?
Well, thanks again. We'll keep in touch. Maybe we can find a way for everybody to get the same email address or get each other's
Mhm.
email addresses so we can reach out if we want to in between meetings.
And it'll be nice, February 13th, we can maybe talk about, if you're doing the love letters and I do them,
Yeah.
you know, what's going on with it so far and that, and all, but I would love to share
Well, that'd be
emails and be
good.
able to share ideas.
Yeah. Well, here, I'll put mine in the
Yeah,
chat.
just put in the chat for now. Yeah. Oh, hang on. I think I can probably end record. Um,